Sergeant Stubby, a small stray mongrel puppy, who came from God knows where. He appeared in the training area of the 102nd Infantry, nicknamed the Yankee Division near Yale, USCA, on July 1917. He had come just at the right time, because the soldiers were preparing for action in World War I, christened Stubby by the soldiers because of his short tail. The puppy soon integrated himself into the ranks. His comrades taught him to salute, he learned bugle calls, and was allowed to join the soldiers on the front line. Stubby wasn't your ordinary dog. But how did he get there? Let's find out in today's episode of Dog Tailies. In August 1917, Stubby accompanied his unit when they were shipped across to France. During one night, the camp was filled with gas, and the men were forced to flee. At first, Stubby didn't know what was happening, but when he started to feel ill, he ran after the retreating soldiers. Later, when another gas attack happened, Stubby recognized the smell and was able to wake up and warn the sleeping soldiers. An action that is said to have saved many lives. As the war went on and Stubby grew older, he became increasingly useful. One day, while he was out on patrol with Sergeant Thomas Enright, they came across a lone German soldier in the trenches. Enright called out to him and asked him to surrender, but instead the man pulled out a gun and fired at them. Enright returned fire, missing the man, but his bullets hit Stubby, seriously wounding him. Enright managed to kill the German soldier, but he was now faced with the task of having to carry Stubby back to safety. Although severely wounded, Stubby managed to help Enright direct the fire of 2 machine guns towards the enemy, holding off reinforcements until help arrived. When Stubby eventually made a full recovery, the grateful sergeant carried him through the rest of the war. Another time, Stubby proved his worth. When the Yankees were ordered to capture a German trench that was heavily protected by machine guns, Stubby located a hole in the barbed wire that would allow them to get close enough to the enemy position to attack. Once in the trenches, Stubby could sniff out wounded soldiers and lead his comrades to them so they could receive medical attention. This meant that during the Meuse-Argonne offensive, Stubby was often seen running back and forth between the fighting, carrying messages and leading rescuers to wounded or trapped soldiers. In total, he helped save 100 men in this way. The Yankee Division were very fond of their four-legged comrade, and he was promoted to the rank of sergeant, received the highest military honor that can be given to a dog, becoming the only dog to ever receive lifetime membership of the American Legion. A proud member of the 102nd Machine Gun Company, Stubby was one of the most decorated dogs of the war, receiving a gold medal for heroism commissioned by the Humane Education Society, a Purple Heart, and a French medal. When Stubby heard the call of buglers sounding retreat, he barked furiously to show his disapproval. He wanted to continue fighting the Germans. The Yankee Division fought all the way to the armistice. And when peace was finally declared on November 11, 1918, Stubby proudly led the parade of the 102nd Infantry Regiment through the streets of Yale. He had become a war hero. Upon their return to America, Stubby and the Yankers were paraded through the streets of New York City. They arrived in Stubby's honor. A ticker-tape parade was held in his hometown of New Haven, Connecticut, and he was presented with several medals and gifts. Stubby was also invited to appear in the Rose Bowl parade. He participated in the event riding in a float with several veterans of the war. After the war, Stubby spent the rest of his life traveling around the U.S. with Edward L. Bowles, who was part of the 102nd Infantry. Stubby lived to the ripe old age of 26 years old, dying on March 1926, 1935. That's 10 years after he retired from active duty. He suffered from cancer and eventually succumbed to the disease. He was buried with full military honors in Sharon, Connecticut. His grave is marked with a headstone which reads, Sergeant Stubby, a fitting tribute to a brave dog who gave his all for his country. It is believed that before the war, Stubby may have been owned by someone in the Yale football team, as it is said that he was a skilled forward passer. However, he disappeared prior to the United States entering the conflict and turned up later as a mascot for the Yale football team. It has been suggested that he was used as a lookout by pickpockets, and that's why he was so good at sniffing out wounded soldiers. And other times, Stubby would bark frantically without warning. It was because he heard voices in the wind that nobody else could hear. Another story about Stubby says that after he was wounded in battle and taken back to the field hospital, his temperature was so high that he was not expected to survive. But against all odds, he did. It was believed that Stubby was immortal. This was because the doctor mistakenly gave him an injection of morphine rather than saline solution. And when the error was realized, it was too late. And so Stubby lived on, possibly thanks to the powerful painkiller. One thing that remains a mystery is whether Stubby was a purebred Boston Terrier or a mixed breed mutt. Many people believe he was a mutt, but this is disputed by the Boston Terrier Club of America, who maintain that he was a true blue Boston Terrier. Whatever the truth, Stubby is remembered as a loyal and courageous dog who helped save the lives of many soldiers during World War I. His story is a reminder of the bravery and loyalty that dogs can show us. He was an ordinary dog who performed extraordinary actions. The reason that Stubby was so keen to please his masters was because he had been an ordinary stray dog who had had a master before, and he appreciated all the more what he had found with the 102nd Infantry. Stubby knew that he was loved by his fellow soldiers, and he responded by trying to make them proud. He wanted to do whatever he could to help them, whether it was by sounding an alarm, fetching messages, carrying wounded soldiers to safety, or even helping to capture enemy soldiers. Stubby's story is a remarkable one. It is a testament to the courage and loyalty of dogs, and the bond that can form between them and their human companions. He was a true hero who will never be forgotten. We hope you enjoyed today's episode of Dog Tailies. If you did, please be sure to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our future episodes. We also have a website where you can learn more about amazing dogs like Stubby. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. If you want to tell us about your dog, you can fill in the form below, and if your story gets selected, we might feature it in a future episode. Until next time, goodbye.